Good.
All right. We
Make sure my cleavage is up in there.
live. So that just got.
All right. It's a good start, gentlemen.
Keith, it's been a while since I've seen you. Giving you a little show.
It is on YouTube, so at least we have it live. So
All right.
welcome everyone to the Siege of Augusta matchup podcast. You can see we've been. I'll pause for a moment. We have it live.
All right.
Welcome everyone to the Siege of Augusta matchup podcast. You can see we've been.
What is that noise?
Robert's got the YouTube live playing on his screen too. Turn that off, Robert.
I'm looking for it.
That's freaking me out. I thought Keith recorded it.
Technical genius here.
What a violation of trust.
There you go.
All right.
That was an awesome start, gentlemen.
At least we know we can dump the audio if someone says fuck.
We're good to go now. Well, we got Mike Austin, Keith Randall, and Tim Smith with us. They're our experts. They know how to play the game, we think. So they're going to go through and tell us
in that order
their predictions on how to go. Siege of Augusta.
You always start from bottom to top.
Siege of Augusta is, of course, going to go next weekend. So if you're not signed up, we still have spots for you. We have 40s. We're down a little bit this year. We know that we're up against Shiloh out in the south, so that was hard for them to decide to come out. And then Arkansas, those guys, we had 8 or 10 of the, I guess 8 last year from Arkansas, and many of them have dropped out, and I'm getting feedback still. So that's all the way to go. I'm going to read the list, and we're going to let them pick. So let's just jump right into it so we can get started. And since I closed all my windows out, get that feedback out. Let me give just a second to get the list back up, and I'll let you know how to go. So the first few lists we'll go through were challenges. We had a few challenges that were uttered. In the Southeast, Brian Parker started a tradition of the gauntlet. And so there are 2 gauntlets out there, and these gauntlets travel from place to place. And each person who holds the gauntlet must challenge, and the winner of the challenge takes the gauntlet with them. So the first 2 matchups are for the coveted gauntlet. And in one of those matches will be the first time we've had a gauntlet thrown down by an out-of-region. The gauntlet could actually travel off into the Midwest, and the Southeast players would have to, I guess, travel there to get it back. So there's a lot riding on Keith Randall to not lose track of our gauntlet. Give me 1 second, I'll have the list up and we'll be moving.
It's a lot of pressure, Keith. Can you handle it?
I think I'll be okay. It is just Shannon.
It's not that big a deal. Shannon will be back. He plays here more than anywhere.
You guys aren't going to have to go up to Midwest to get it. He'll come to you.
Yeah.
He'll be everywhere. So table 1 is Keith Randall versus Shannon Shoemaker. Shannon coming down.
Is Shannon doing the 14 hours like Thursday night thing again like he did last time?
Hey, here's the thing. Shannon, who never flies, is flying to sea.
Wow.
Oh, shit.
He has a philosophical disagreement about flying, but he has chosen to do it for this event, so we appreciate that. So let's get right into it. Here's Keith Randall's list. Keith Randall has a horde of archers with heart-seeking chants. He has a horde of sea guards with the wine of elven kind. He has a regiment of forest shamblers, 2 Drakon hordes, 1 with Blade of Slash, and 1 with Pathfinder. He has a regiment of chariots with Brew of Courage. He's got a major vein turn to Black Rat Crown, 2 noble chariots, 1 of which can inspire, 2 princes, and a Brew of Haste dragon lord. That sounds pretty scary. He's up against Shannon Shoemaker, who is playing. He's one of our many Mongol players at this event, and Mongols can score and take objectives, so that's perhaps why we saw so many. He has 2 Mongol heroes, 1 with a Damascus Steel Blade and 1 with a Warhammer. He's got that musician that gives the rally too. That's pretty sweet. 3 Mongol horse archer regiments. Those can skirmish. He's got the Mongol lancers. He's got 3 skirmish lancer regiments. Genghis Khan, a horde of warriors, a phoenix, and a war hero. So that's what he's got. Keith, we'll let Keith go last. Tim, what do you think? Elves against Mongols?
I like the elves because Keith always beats me, so I think he's unbeatable. But I noticed his dragons aren't as hard hitting as they usually are. No crushing, no +1 to hit.
They don't need it against Mongols.
Well, yeah, against Mongols that'll be fine, but I wonder how that's going to affect him as the tournament goes on. Only downside is Shannon Shoemaker's Mongols. He knows how to kill with Mongols. I mean, he had the most kill points at TNT with the Mongol list last year, and he wins games with them for sure. But I'm going to lean towards elves because they scare me.
Some insightful analysis, Tim. Thank you for that. Mike, what do you think?
Well, obviously elves are my bread and butter. Keith and I seem to be on the same page pretty much every time we make armies, so I can't argue against what he's doing. Certainly agree with Tim in that if anybody knows how to use Mongols, it's Shannon. It's a tough matchup, obviously either way, but I'm an elf player and I'm seeing Mongols across the board, and I have what Keith has. I'm pretty confident, I think. So I think I got to go Keith on this one. Shannon, obviously, is as scary as it's going to be for a Mongol list, and definitely a variety from his Mongol list. It's got a lot of different tools, but got to stick with my boys, elves. By my boys, I mean the elves, not you, Keith. Don't get ahead of yourself.
No, I figured.
So I'm going Keith, but I don't know. This one's too much of a toss-up. I won't lie, but I'm going Keith just because he plays elves.
6 skirmisher regiments doesn't give you any pause, Mike?
No, I mean, it's cute. It's very cute, but that's about it.
Yeah, I would. I mean, it really depends on how Shannon wants to play it. I don't think he can come straight at me if the scenario forces him to. If he wants to dance around and we're going after objectives and have to spread out, that might be something different. But
yeah, the scenario,
there's a lot of defense for in there.
Talk about the scenario, but we can't do that here because it is random.
Yeah,
right.
I like how Keith is talking about how Shannon can go ahead and beat him. Hey, Shannon, do this.
All right, I'll stop. I'm trying to give insightful analysis.
Just pick yourself and be done with it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to win.
There we go. That's better.
So, Keith, can Mongols beat elves, or you think elves are the bane to Mongols, the thing that keeps them from winning tournaments?
I think Mongols can beat elves. I don't know if the combined arms Mongols can beat elves because, yeah, he's got 6 skirmish units, but he's got a lot of other shots that aren't skirmish. There's a lot of other things you can shoot at. And then if you're faster than them, they can't get into their charge range and spin in circles like they would like to. So I think elves are bad news for Mongols.
Yep.
So that's my thought.
And I think so there you go. You got right off the bat 3-0 against Shannon Shoemaker. So there's some fuel for Shannon.
He's going to come in with a vengeance.
I was going to say it's just inspiration for Shannon to smack Keith.
Yeah.
So table 2 is a cross-region regiment. We have Devlin Smith versus Jake. What's that name go now?
Jake C. Jake gave up his last name. Hutton.
You know how to say it, though.
No.
I'm going to say Hutton for the time being. So I'll talk to him.
Yeah, Jake Hutton.
Say his new last name. There's Devlin Smith against Jake Hutton. Devlin is from Memphis with Tim. Who is that making all that
That's
noise?
Tim, settle down.
It's always Tim.
Tim, you just got to sit, buddy.
Stay still for just a little while.
I don't know what he's doing.
Sorry.
2 hordes of Delta Warriors. He's got 2 regiments of youth, 2 hordes of Revenant Chariots, one of which has haste and one of which has caterpillar. He's got 2 bone giants, a bone dragon. He's rocking 3 cursed high priests, all with fireballs, all with heals. So 12 heals, 36 fireballs, and 30 surge back there. He's got a skeletal regiment. That's a pretty solid little list, and he's up against Jake, and Jake is running his Abyssal Dwarves. He's got a horde of Black Souls, a horde of Slave Lords, 2 troops of Gargoyles, 4 regiments of Half-Breeds, a horde of Grotesques, 3 Dragonfire teams, a Slave Driver, Braki Barca, and Basuzu the Wild. So what do you think about that? We'll start with Keith this time.
Man, Devlin has been improving by leaps and bounds with this Empire Dust Army. Obviously, he beat Jake last year, hence the rematch. And Jake's army, I mean, he's got a little bit of shooting, but he kind of has to come at you with his half-breeds and grotesques. And if Devlin can take a punch and then come around with monsters, he might be in good shape. So I think I'm going to go with Devlin. Sorry, Jake.
All right. So you think the half-breeds are going to pop up against that skeleton wall? The monsters are going to come up. Mike, what do you think?
So actually, really liking Devlin's list. I think it's got a lot of tools. It's kind of unique to a degree for Empire Dust. I really like it. The one thing, for once, I'm actually going to say something nice about Jake is he's actually been play testing an army for once, actually like trying to get better for once, and it's really neat to watch it happen. I played against this army a few weeks ago before I had a baby and still had a life, and he actually knew how to use it, and it was really neat to see. It's the half-breeds, everybody looks at them and says, they're soft, or they're defense 4, the nerves load, blah, blah, blah. When there's 4 of them, it doesn't matter. They just swarm you. That army just has never-ending threats. It's a good army. As much as I love telling Jake he's doing things wrong, it's a good army. Jake's actually learned to use it for a change. So I'm going to go with Jake, who is our little region hero here. So Jake gets my vote.
All right, Tim, you're the tiebreaker. What do you think? Half-breeds or blocks of skeletons and fireballs? Of course, Devlin's got his fireballs.
Well,
Jake's got his fireballs too.
Devlin's bringing the same army but a different list, and Jake's bringing a completely new army altogether since last year. So year to year, don't know how to compare it. But I do know this: I've never lost a game to Unplugged Radio.
That's not that impressive, and you're not the only one.
Yeah, if I can pull that off, Devlin can definitely do it. So I'm going with Devlin.
Tim just was waiting to say that.
Yeah.
So we got 2-1 for Devlin on that. So people are picking the Southeast. Of course, we got 2 Southeast players, but right now they're picking the Southeast against the other regions. We'll see if that stands. Let's go to Table 3. We've got Table 3. This is the other gauntlet event. So again, in the Southeast, there's these gauntlets that travel around. They have to challenge. And so I believe this has been Bowers, who I think has it right now against Jacob from Florida. So let's start with Ben, since he's the holder of the gauntlet. He's playing Ratkins. He's had a lot of success with Ratkins of late. He's got 4 regiments of, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. That's 5 regiments of tunnel slaves. He's got 2 hordes of shock troops, 1 with the pipes of terror. I think he'd been running 3, so he's dropped 1 down. He's taken 2 hordes of blight, so that's ensnare and stealthy, one of which has the hammer of measured force. He's got 3 troops of claw shots to give him those 15 piercing 2 shots that are so valuable. He's got 2 regiments of Vermintide. He's got a Blight Lord with the wings of Cunning Maze. He's got that gives him a 2nd flying character. He's got a Warlock with Banechant, a Swarm Crier with the Loot, and the Demon Spawn that can fly, of course. And he's up against Jacob's Abyssals. He's been using a lot of breaths, and so he's got that kind of theme going again, but maybe a little less breath than he had in the past. Troop of Gargoyle, a regiment of Lower Abyssals with Brew of Courage, a horde of Lower Abyssals with the Brew of Strength, 2 regiments of Tortured Souls, a regiment of Abyssal Horsemen with Pathfinder, an Abyssal Harbinger with the Loot of Sensation of Darkness there. Only 1 Efreet this time that is piercing, a a Well of Souls, an Archfiend, Vesuvius the Vile, and Cronius. And this, of course, is not using the new pack, so this is the Breath Weapon Cronius. So kind of a mixed arms approach for Jacob. Mike, who do you think edges the end, Rats or Abyssals?
So the rat list had me half chub for a minute until those shock troops need items. They're some of the best units in the game as is, but you throw items on them and they're absolutely unstoppable. I really wish they had some sharpness, some brewer strength, something like that. The rest of the list I absolutely love. I think it's a great army. Making use of the regiments of slaves is fantastic. Just lacking a little bit on the shock troop side of things. The Abyssal list has such a variety of things. I don't know. What's this guy's name?
Jacob. Got a lot of flying, a little breath.
He's got like a little bit of everything.
Nine arms. If you're looking for a balanced army, there's one right there.
Yeah, I don't know the player here, but if he knows how to use the list, then it's a good army. If he doesn't, then not. I mean, I guess that's the game in a nutshell. But I'm gonna assume that he does. He said he's been winning in some games. I'm gonna go with the abyssal list, as he called it. I'm not saying it's abysmal. He did.
That's his title.
Yeah, it's his title. Yes.
What do you think?
So I know they played at Crucible, which is where Ben beat Jacob to get the gauntlet. Jacob's been doing really well. He tied me at Crucible because of those stupid Crucible monsters. The Florida guys last year, no one said they would win any of their games. I think they all won their games. So I'm going to go with Jacob just because he's seen the Ratkin list. I don't know if he'd seen one before. He might have changed his list up knowing who he was going to play. So I'm going to go with Jacob.
All right. Tim, what do you got?
I mean, I like both the lists because each list has the tools to handle the opponent's list. The Rats got the units to be able to swarm over, but the Abyssals also have enough units that can go in by themselves and pick off a whole Rat unit on their own, especially all the regiments. Flip the coin. I guess I'm just going to go with Jacob on it. I think the couple of breath he has is what's going to push it over the edge because the claw shots are a big investment that aren't necessarily going to pay off as much in this game.
So you think the 3 regiments of claw shots not as good an investment as the Cronius and the Efreet?
Yeah, for this matchup.
All right, we'll take that. So 2-1 going Jacob's way, I believe. We'll see how that shakes out. I like all those bodies on Rats, but there are a lot of flyers there, so we'll see how that goes. Let's go ahead and hit table 4. This is another challenge. This is Austin Kerrigan and Jesse Cornwell from the Mid-Atlantic. I missed the story on how this happened. Did anybody catch what the grudge is here?
Austin's annoying, and Jesse's going to take care of it.
I don't know. I think most people went through the challenge out, but we'll go. Here's what Austin has. Austin's running, of course, Night Stalkers. He's got 2 regiments of Spectres, a little shooting there. He's got 2 hordes of Butchers. He's got a horde of Fiends with Sharpness, 2 Shadow Hulks. There you go, 2 Shadow Hulks. That's nice. A Acquisition, a Terror, a Void Lurker, and 2 Dread Fiends, one of which with the Blade of Slash.
Drink service.
What's that? What do you say?
Drink service.
Oh. 2 Dread Fiends, one of which has a Blade of Slashing, and of course he's got the Butcher's Block to make those a little better. The Butcher's a little better. And he's up against Jesse running Romans. So we've got historicals all over this event. We'll see if this is the event that historicals finally break through. Jesse has 1, 2, and if you've ever seen a Romans list, it's like 5. Each entry is like half a page. But he's got a horde, 3 hordes of Roman warriors, heavy warriors. They've been upgraded with everything, throwing weapons, 10 attacks, the crushing strength, Volcon rule. So they got a little bit of everything. Horde of archers, 3 skirmishing skirmisher units. That's the name, skirmish. A general on a mount, 2 musicians rally 2, a regiment of cavalry with claymores, a regiment of cavalry bloodlust, 2 phoenix, 2 sorcerers with heal. And I guess that's heal 6.
And Bane Chant.
And Bane Chant. He got a lot of stuff in there. So, Tim, what do you think of this? Romans versus Night Stalkers.
The Romans going to win it every game.
Every game.
They're on a 50 by 50 inch base. Take you out.
That's it.
Okay.
Tim's done.
I've got
Why do you
a grudge. Can't deny it. No, but really, I like both lists. I think the Romans are that army people are going to try to bring, especially the southeast, to counter the heavy shooting. Sean Williams tried it at a tournament, did pretty well, but still didn't come out on top. So I don't think it's the best way to do it. But Austin definitely has been finishing top with his Night Stalkers, and at this point, he knows what he's doing and how to play them. So I honestly, the Night Stalkers are probably going to come out on top, just because the major points you're paying for the Romans, you're not going to get to use as much.
Okay.
On shooting defense.
Mike, what do you think?
I think the real battle here is which army is more beautifully painted between the two. And I think Jesse's going to come on top.
Wow.
Heavy word.
Well, you guys are so serious about that. It's fucking
Sweaty Romans fans get it.
I've never seen Jesse play anything besides goblins, so I don't know how this is going to go. Romans are cute. Night Stalkers are good. Neither of them are taking advantage of what their armies are good against. So it's kind of like a mitten fight. I don't know. I love both these guys. I'm going to go with Austin because I like the name Austin. That's it.
All right, you're killing it. The analysis. Keith, what do you got?
I can't. I mean, I tend to agree on the analysis. They're both kind of spending a lot of points on anti-shooting, and there's not a ton of shooting on the table. Jesse's archers aren't going to be super effective, but they can fling some wounds here and there. If he just shells up, turtles up, and moves forward like Romans do, I think he has a good shot. And I mean, Austin's playing really well at the moment, but I can't vote for someone who brings a picture frame to a game as a base. Sorry, Austin.
Yeah, his base is my display board.
Sounds like y'all got some personal vendettas over there.
Yeah, you listen to our podcast, I've got vendettas.
Austin, I still love you. Don't worry about them.
So the question then becomes, you've got 2 armies set up as anti-shooting.
Neither of which.
Well, they got archers, but it's just a little bit of shooting, so that's not going to play. Which one then handles the rest of it better? The Romans or the monsters, the Night Stalkers. I'm curious to see if all those hordes he's rocking can't plow through those monsters, but we shall see how it comes out in the end.
I mean, he drops the defense.
The one good thing about this matchup is an anti-shooting army is going to get pushed up towards some of the better shooting lists, so you're going to get this is that effective.
It won't matter.
Yeah.
You don't think it's enough. What do you think about the full con after you drop your defense to 4? Do you think that just offsets the?
Yeah.
I mean, completely. It hurts him against Austin because Austin's not shooting at him, and Austin's going to chew through his armor.
I think in any situation, I think defense 5 is better personally. The offense is neat and all, but they're a unit designed to last, and you're taking away some of that. And even against a shooting army, who cares if you have Crush 1 or not? You need that defense 5. The defense 5, and Keith, you can probably attest to this. You go against defense 4 army, you're like, yep, let's have some fucking fun, right? Yeah. As soon as they're defense 5, it's a nightmare, and I really think that's a big difference. I don't like the dropping 5 down to 4. Same thing with like Basilian Foot Guard. It's one of the units I've used a lot recently. Give them defense 5. That's what they're good at. Let them be resilient and tough.
All right. So you heard some advice there. Table 5 is another grudge match. This is 2 old friends, Gibney and Lennon Roy. Of course, I think they used to both be Memphis guys, and Lennon has moved to South Carolina. But they meet at Siege to drink and play each other every year. So we're glad that Lennon brings Gibney and the Memphis guys in like that. But they're going to play each other first round. And so Lennon this year is rocking some rats. He's got a different list than the last one we saw. He's got 1 horde of tunnel slaves. He's got 1 regiment of warriors, 1 horde of shock troops, 1 horde of blight, and a regiment of blight. He's bringing 2 hordes of brutes and a regiment of packballs with caterpillar, 3 weapon teams with storm of lead, an enforcer with the inspiring talisman, 2 warlocks just as they come, a swarm crier naked, and the flying demon spawn. That's his version of.
And he's missing 45 points.
Andy has hack paws? What? I don't know which is worse.
He's up against Gibney's pinnacle list, which is Trident Realm, a regiment of Thule with haste, 2 troops of Thule, a horde of placoderms with the Banner of the Griffith, 3 hordes of depth horrors, 3 knuckers in their old form, obviously, a coral giant, an envoy with the lute, a mythicon with the wings of honey maze and the bane chant. He's got a siren and a tidal scourge formation for the fool. So we've got rats versus Trident Realm. What do you think, Keith?
Just hold on, I'm going to interrupt you just so everybody knows what that formation does, because I didn't. The Thule Regiment, Thule Troops, Thule Mythician get +1 speed.
Cool.
There it is.
So, obviously, I think Trident Realms, their biggest issue is shooting. They aren't seeing a ton of it. There's some breath attacks in here. But there's also a lot of melee 4, which is going to get really, really impacted by the ensnare. So I think I'm going to go with the Trident Realm to win it.
Okay. Without the shooting, the ensnare is going to trump what the rats can bring without all that shooting.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you hit on 3s against ensnare, they don't have a great armor. You can put in through enough hits and handle Trident Realm. But if you're hitting on 4s and you don't have the shooting to back it up, it's going to be a problem.
I like how you say you feel where it's a statistical situation. 3s versus 4s and 4s versus 5s. It's math, Keith. Thank you.
Okay, fine.
Mike, what do you think?
I still don't.
We lose Mike.
There you are.
Where are the what's the 45-point situation? Do we know?
I think he's just playing light.
That doesn't make it. All right.
All
right. Well, just because of that, I'm going with Gibney. I don't know. No, I really do like
points. You think boom?
I think I actually like the Trident Realm army a lot. Depth Horrors are great. Knuckers are great. They're about to get better. Trident Realms are going to be a thing here in the next few months for sure. This might be a good test for them and see where they go. So I'm going to go Gibney.
Tim, what do you think?
Unfortunately, I think Gibney's going to win, but it's going to be a tie game. He's going to win on attrition, and he's going to win by 15 points. So 45 might have come in handy. But I just back up what Keith's saying. The ensnare is just a nightmare for the Ratkin army, or any army, even my army. Hitting on 4s with really no heavy elite units, that's just a bear. It's like, oh, I got 100 attacks. Got you on 5s and 6s. This is amazing. So that's what's going to pull it out, because he does like everything Ratkin could bring to the table.
All right, sounds good. So that sounded like everyone thinks the ensnare is going to trump what the Rat King can bring, and we're all curious about the 45 points. But so 3-0 going Gibney's way. So that's all of the challenges. Now we're to the list of the matchups that people don't know. That's what people are turning in to see who it is they're playing round 1. And so the first random table 6, is Chris James from Florida versus Alan Morrison, a new player from Georgia. Chris, most of you, kind of made the Masters team this year in the Southeast playing Goblins. He's decided to bring Undead this year, and he's got a troop of Wraiths, a regiment of Wraiths, and 2 regiments of Wraiths, one with Strength and one with Firewall. He's got 2 regiments of Zombies, 2 Revenant Kings on Undead Worms, a Pharaoh with Honey Maze, 2 Lich Kings, Morgoth, and a horde of Barrow White. So it all flies. There's not much of it there, but it flies and it hits pretty hard and it's tough. And he's going up against Alan's Abyssal Dwarves. Alan is rocking regiments of Immortal Guard. We've got someone else giving up the defense to get the Crushing Strength. 3 troops of Gargoyles. 2 hordes of Golems. 2 regiments of Half-Breeds, 1 with Types of Terror, and 1 with Potions of Caterpillar. Slave Driver with Loot. 1 Supreme Iron Caster, and Half-Breed, so that's an upgraded Iron Caster to fly around. He's got the Soul with the Fireheart. He's got Brachybarca of the Suzu and Dryback Falcon. Another kind of upgraded Iron Caster. So, Michael, let you start this with Undead, a very unique Undead list versus Abyssal Dwarves. Chris James for Alan Morrison. What do you think?
I don't know either of these guys, and I'm going to offend one of them right now. This Undead list is atrocious. I don't know.
I agree.
There's like 13 unit strength, 2 of which are in Undead Worms, 4 of which is in Zombie Regiments, which just disappear to anything. You're putting a 30-point item on Wraiths, which have everything they need without a 30-point item, 5-point item, whatever. It's just all over the place. This Undead list is just all over the place. Maybe this guy's a genius and I just don't know it, but I don't know. When I see a Revenant Undead Worm as the a quarter of the page down on a list, I'm starting to throw some question marks. So a little bit of a crazy list. Abyssal Dwarf Army is about what you expect. It's tough as nails. It's got the tools you need. It's got the punch. It's got the casting. You have 3 legendary characters because why the fuck wouldn't you? And yeah, I'm going Abyssal Dwarves because I feel like you can just drop it the way you drop it, pretend like nobody else is playing on the other side, and whatever he does, you're going to win anyways.
All right. Keith?
Yeah, I tend to agree that I think there might be some issues with the unit strength of the Undead list. So if the unit strength becomes a big deal on the scenario, that's going to be a really difficult thing to get through.
It's tough though. It's nails.
It is tough as nails, and if you're doing surge shenanigans with flyers, you can cause lots of problems for people. But I think the Abyssal list with the individuals you can run out and sort of stop flyers and put consistent wounds on them and hang with them.
The Abyssal Dwarf Army also has a shit ton of crushing, thunderous,
right.
vicious. They have all the tools you need to deal with Defense 6 stuff.
Right. So
I mean, it's a tough matchup for sure. But
outside of experience levels, which Chris is much more experienced than Alan,
Big key.
which I think is a thing. I think that will allow Chris to use his flying and surge shenanigans to overcome what I think is a list imbalance. So I'm going to go with Chris, but I think I'm just a generic list.
See, that's not fair. I don't know these people. Y'all are being.
No, I agree with you.
No, you're right.
List to list, but I think Chris can. I mean, he's been playing this a little bit. I think he can pull it out.
All right.
You've used a flying surge shenanigan list yourself. What do you think of what Chris has done?
And that's a big part. I did, and I see what he's doing here. But the difference is the low unit strength undead lists need to just kill to get them on the same footing as the other team or other player. I don't see where a lot of his punch is going to be coming from. You know, if he can get flanks and things with his worms in the race, that's great. But he still doesn't have any units he can park in front of things. You want people to be, do I turn to what's in front of me and give them the flank, or do I give the flank up to these flying guys? In this list,
nothing up front.
Yeah, there's nothing up front to force that kind of decision. So I just don't see it. And like you said, 4 unit strength is in zombies. You know, a couple of shooting units are going to pop that early.
You think the zombies are there just as unlocks, and then he'll just leave them on the back of the board holding objectives on pillage or something?
And that's fine, but for me, that's going to be something I'm going to try to target because that's unit strength. His other stuff can go kill a bunch of things, but if I can get some of his unit strength down early...
But they can't, though. Everything's sitting on 4s. You sit in any sort of terrain. You got Defense 6 golems getting hit on 5s. Who cares if you have a brew of strength on Wraiths? They have 12 attacks hitting on 5s. They just don't have enough. And like Tim, you said it right. You need to threaten with something in the front. If you had hordes of zombies, a couple hordes and zombies coming up the front with a Bane Champ behind them, at least you have something to threaten the front so they don't just turn and face. But the regiment of Wraiths just sits on your flank. You just turn and face them. There's nothing else to flank you. That's
right.
it.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah. Alan's Dwarfs is going to take this. That'll be exciting to see how that goes.
Yep.
And let's go to table 7. I like this matchup on table 7. Table 7 is Ryan from the Sons of Vulcan versus George O'Connell from the Mid-Atlantic. So we got another kind of cross-region matchup. Some interesting list here. Let me start with Ryan's. Ryan is running Elves. I've seen him run this in friendly games to great effects. Ryan has a horde of archers with the piercing chant. He's got a horde of Sea Guards. Second horde of Sea Guard we've seen. They were out of fashion there for a while, but they're back here in the first few lists. Nimble Sea Guard list. He's got 2, 4, 5 regiment of Forest Shamblers, so cheap Vanguard, defense 5. 2 Dragon Breaths, a Bane Chanting Fireball, Black Crown Mage, 2 Noble Chariots, a Drakon Rider Lord, a Tree Herder, and Madriga the Elf, that little character who has the 3 piercing shots to hit on 3. Cool. And vicious. She's got all kinds of stuff. And she's up against. Oh, well, sorry about that. She's up against George. I'm sorry, not she. He's up against George, who's Twilight.
Confused.
So we've got Elves on Twilightkin here. George just likes chariots. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4 regiments of Dark Scythe chariots. Coupling that with 3 hordes of chariots. 1 with the Pathfinder, 1 with Elite, 1 with Piercing. And he's going to put with those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units of chariots, 3 dragons. 1 with Sharpness, so hitting on 2. 1 with the Lightning Bolt Amulet, and 1 with the Staying Stone. So 7 chariots, 4 regiments, 3 hordes, and 3 dragons. Getting it done there, I guess. Tim, you want to start this one?
Sure. I don't know Ryan, but I like what he's bringing to the table.
You know Ryan.
Wait, Ryan, what was the last name?
Johnson.
Oh, I do know Ryan. All right, well, I got my pick. Ryan Johnson. Sorry, George.
That's it. That's all you're going with?
That's a lot of points for 3 dragons. That's going to be the major damage dealers, and you got the chariots with their range and speed. But I just don't see the list, I guess. I don't understand it. So Ryan Johnson's straightforward. It's good in a lot of matchups, a lot of missions. So whatever the first round is, he can handle it. George's list definitely has its advantages on speed and getting across the table. But the chariots, once you start touching them, they just start getting into slap fights, and they have fairly low nerve, or decent enough nerve, but they just don't have a grind. You watch out for the dragons, and then you're fine. And it's a lot of regiments.
All right. Mike, what do you think? You run dragon list with...
I've not run 3, but chariots are super soft. The regiments of shamblers are an absolute pain in the ass to those regiments of chariots. 1 for 1, the shamblers win. The elf army is pretty well diverse. I've seen a few people in this tournament running the Sea Guard with Elvenkind, as we will see later. I'm not a huge fan of it, but they're going to be good in this matchup. I just don't know that George's list has enough to deal with it. A balanced army versus a very gimmicky army. I'm going to go with the balanced army every time. I also don't get a 45-point brew sharpness on a dragon. That's just silly.
You should have seen it when he was running them with Nimble.
I've but in George's defense, George knows how to get people. I don't know Ryan. George will take advantage of a new player, sometimes a little unethically, but that's the point. Just for the fuck of it, let's go with Ryan. I hope Ryan wins. How about that? I just hope Ryan wins. So I'm gonna. I
love George, and I know what models he has to build an army with. How does he get his 3 chariots he has spread across 4 hordes?
Don't worry about it, man.
We'll have to see.
There's a picture like of an elf on there too. It looks good. Keith.
So I think George's army is much better at range if he's in a protracted shooting fight with someone. But I think Ryan's army is kind of designed to not allow that to happen. His shamblers will be up in your face. His sea guard's going to be moving up. His quick units will be following behind. So I don't think chariots they don't last in the grind. If you can watch the angles on the dragons, there's not a ton of punch there. So I think I'm going to go with Ryan. So as long when we played it at TNT, Ryan for some reason rolled to go first and won that roll, and then let me go first. So as long as if Ryan can go first, I think he'll be in a good spot.
I think that's a good idea. If I'm going against elves, I'm going to let them go first. Yeah, please do. Thank you.
3 against George. George, you wanted some inspiration, something to post about, so go ahead and start typing.
It's already posted.
Just don't worry. Nobody's going to listen to you.
So 3-0 for Ryan. That's some pressure on our Son of Vulcan friend, but the panelists seem convinced. Let's go on to Table 8 then. Table 8 brings in another new player, so it's good to see some new players here. We've got J.J. Jones versus Sean Williams, another Sons of Vulcan player. Let's start with J.J., a new player out of the Atlanta area. And I don't know how new he is to the game. I just know he's new to tournaments. He's got a regiment of skeleton warriors. He's got Empire of Dust, skeleton warriors, a horde of revenants with brute strength, 2 mummies, one with pipes of terrors, one with blessing of the gods, 3 regiments of enslaved guardians. I'm looking forward to seeing some of those with their upgrades in the latest book.
Yeah. Yep.
Bone dragons, Pharaoh with the wings, 2 high priests, one with the loot, a little Bane Shan action in there, and one with the Baron of Griffith, and he's got the big bad idol. So
Joe Big.
Balanced kind of combined arms approach there. He's up against Sean, who is rocking his undeads. He's back. He's back with undead.
I'm glad.
He's coming back for the crown.
He's coming back. He lost it. He lost it to Jeff, and he wants it back. 2 hordes of revenants, one with a brew of strength, 2 regiments of wraiths, 2 regiments of mummies, 1 undead worm, that flies, obviously. He's got the brew of sharpness on his, interestingly enough. He's got a vampire lord with a blade of slashing on a horse. He's got Morgoth, and he has a horde of borrow rights. So, Keith, I'll let you take this matchup.
There's a difference between putting brew of sharpness on a revenant king and a dragon.
200 points
for sure. JJ is a new player. Sean is a kryptonite player for a lot of us. I think Sean's going to win. I would just say JJ have a good game. Sean's a good person to play against. You can talk about strategy. Sean will have a lot of good advice on shambling and how to play a similar army. So I think you'll have a fun time, but I think Sean's going to take it down.
Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, Sean, I'm glad that I'm not there to roll nothing but 5s against you and one-shot units like I did last year. You deserve to do well because I definitely didn't deserve to beat you last year. AJ, whoever you may be, however new you are, whatever, your list is good. It's a solid list. If I was a beginner and didn't know Sean Williams, I'd look at a 10-drop list and be like, yeah, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. But you're in for a surprise if you think that. Sean's going to teach you a few lessons. I'm going to go with Sean. I hope he wins. I wish him the best. I hope he does well. He's a great guy, great player. His army list is insane. I would never run it, but he can and he will do well with it. So Sean Williams all the way.
Pretty resilient, I think, is what Sean's.
So tough.
Yeah.
So tough.
All right, Tim, we got 2 for Sean. What are you thinking?
I think this is going to be the upset of the tournament.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Yeah, I think JJ has the tools he needs to grind through Sean's toughness. You focus on those revenant hordes. That's a big chunk of his army. The mummies worry me the most in Sean's list. I'm glad he's not running the vampire lord on dragon like he used to.
It's better without it. It's better without it.
Yeah, that thing scares the crap out of me. But overall, I think I think JJ has the tools necessary to take down Sean's list. He's just got to be patient, choose the battles, and he can potentially outsurge him or get more opportunities to surge into angles. So I'm gonna go with JJ. I think this is the upset of the tournament.
That would be a major upset. I will give you that.
Two grindy lists going against each other. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Let's get on to table 9. We've got an inner mid-Atlantic struggle here. We talking about the numbers and being down a little bit and not having Arkansas, losing folks there. One thing that happened is there are almost mid-Atlantic numbers came way up. It was the Southeast numbers that dropped. So
that's right.
We could not really.
Mid-Atlantic. I'm not helping that at all, but I have an excuse.
You have good.
Well, coming up from 10 and going down from 40.
Yeah, so there you go.
Ain't much to talk about.
I did not separate them by regions, just try to keep the clubs apart. But we've got Tony Nelson, the American hero, going up against the master, Alex Chavez. So let me go through this with you. Alex is bringing Abyssal, so a little bit different list. I don't know that I've seen him play this.
Yeah.
Somebody has.
He's got a regiment of flame bearers, a little shooting there, a horde of lower abyssals with the crushing, so their defense is 3. 2 regiments of Succubi, one with fire oil, a horde of Mullocks with Brew of Courage, 2 regiments of Souls, Harbinger with the loot. He's got 2 Afrits, one with that Boots of Levitation, one with Piercing, like both of those, a Well of Souls, and an Arch Fiend with Blade of Slashing, Flying, and a Lightning Bolt. So lots of tools there. Going up against Tony, who's bringing the Kingdoms of Men. He's got a regiment of foot guard, a heavy pipe block with phalanx that's got phalanx and snares. It's a nice little combo with the Brew of Strength. He's got 2 hordes of spear phalanx, so he likes that phalanx rule. 2 troops of militia mobs, 2 regiments of knights, regiment of charioteers, a general on a horse, 3 heroes, 2 of them on horses, 1 on a Pegasus, 2 army standard bearers, 1 with a lute, a wizard with Bane Chant, Lightning Bolt, Aura of Heroism, and a Fireheart amulet, and a horde of Ogre Siege Breakers allied in. So there you go. I think it's Tim's turn to go first.
I really want Alex to win just so I can hear Brian Tucker stop bitching about Mollocks.
That was the point.
Yep. I think that's what I want to see happen. My very first Kings of War tournament, I played Tony's Kingdoms of Men army for 3rd place, so I'm very familiar with it. It's tough. But I think the Abyssals have more tools, and the damage they can do at range and combat and breath is just a little bit better. So I'm going to go with Alex.
Mike?
I could talk all day about this matchup, obviously. I love Tony to the bottom of my heart. He's my favorite teddy bear ever. Yeah, Alex has played this list a few times. So this is actually my army. I mean, to a degree, he still owes me money for it. But he's played it at multiple tournaments, just being like, yeah, fuck it, I'll play Abyssals. I'm bored of dwarves. And he steamrolls everybody without knowing what he's doing every time. And obviously, you guys know he turned this list in late because he put it together late. He doesn't need to think about it, and he will crush you and make you upset that you're even playing the game, because that's what he does to people. He just knows how to play the fucking game. Obviously, he's the master for a reason. And at the end of the day, we talked about his list, and I was like, fucking run Mollocks, because I want you to show people that Mollocks can do a thing. And I've played against him many times with Mollocks, and you think they suck, and then he does things that you're not expecting, and it's just painful to lose to some of the things he does. Alex, every day, any day, I don't care who he's playing, what army list he's playing, you guys can make the shittiest list ever, and I will pick him still against the best list you could put together. So, Chaves is my pick.
And Keith, what do you think?
I still think Mollocks are garbage.
They are. I'm not arguing that. It's just Alex is not garbage. That's the
sure. So I think Mollocks are garbage. I think Tony's just got a lot of bodies. I love to see Kingdoms of Men armies. I love, a bunch of heroes around. I think, as Mike is distracted, I think Tony can pull it down given the right scenario. Just because he's got so much, a wall of hordes that's going to take more than just one unit for Alex to get through. So that's what I think.
Yeah, it looks like Tony's looking for a different kind of list than Alex has right here. So I think it's going to be a tough matchup. That's great. We're picking a lot of unanimous here. Another unanimous for Alex. Let's go on to table 10. And in table 10, we have another cross region, Rick Parrish and Joey Reese. Let's start with Joey. We start with Joey. Joey's gone. Keith has convinced him to join the Elven Support League. He's running High Elves. He's got, it's like all the High Elf Elves have the same top part. So let's start with that. Horde of Archers with Heart Seeking. I've read that before. Horde of Sea Guard with Nimble. I've read that before. 2 Forest Damsels. I've read that before. Then you can start branching out once you have that, apparently. A regiment of Stormwind Cavalry, a horde of Drakon Riders, a standard bearer on a horse, a mage, a fancy crown, 2 princes on horses, a dragon with a mace, and he's got the Green Lady to round that out. And he's going up against Rick. I'm hoping Rick can make this work. He's got the League of Rolia. 2 regiments of Spearlings, a horde of Spearlings with the Hammer of Measured Force, a regiment of Archers, a Musket, 3 regiments of Household Knights, 2 Halfling Knights, 2 volley guns, the Battle Shrine, which brings the Lightning Bolt 5 and Rally 2 to the table, a Standard Bearer with the Banner Griffin, 2 Wizards with Alchemist's Curse. I don't know much in the house. Rally 2 to the table. Standard Bearer with the Banner Griffin, 2 Wizards with Alchemist's Curse.
Thanks, Keith.
Who's doing that?
That's Keith.
Sorry.
And Master Sergeant, 2 Sorcerers with Alchemist's Curse. That's up to, so now he's got 4 Alchemist's Curse, and he's got the second breakfast. Fearlings, also in Snare, and also the Master Sergeant. So we've got some Rortians. They got stealthy in a lot of places against Elves. Keith, what do you think?
Well, I do enjoy watching people play Elves. It completely people on the dark side. Joey has finally realized that shooting is better than stealthy. I appreciate the Sea Guard with Nimble. I'm certainly trying to see how that works. I like the Rortia list. I don't see how Rortia works super well. I mean, there's things in Joey's list that I'm not super fond of, but I think there's a lot of different ways you can play Elves, and I think just list to list, the Elves have a little bit of an advantage. So I'm gonna go with Joey.
What don't you like in Joey's iteration of Elves?
I don't think Stormwind Cav work great. I know they're his second punching unit. That I just don't think they bring enough to the table. And then I've never really made the Green Lady work, but that's probably more about me than the Green Lady. So
yeah, for a little healing. Yep, I dig it. Mike, what do you think? I don't know if you heard the list. You want to?
Yeah, no, I know the list. Sorry. Rick's a great guy. Had the pleasure of playing him at Masters a couple years ago. It was great. Robert, you probably know I bought all the elves from that one Westphalia. I think halflings. I love the halfling idea. They just still aren't good. Elves are just better. And even though Joey's list, I think, is still a little bit too much of a mix. And despite Keith, I think Green Lady's good. But elves are still better than halflings, so I'm going to go with Joey on this one.
All right. Tim, you want to finish this off?
Yeah, I think the points he's trading off to have a beefier dragon, but not have that second Drakon horde, just don't do it for me in the elf army. I think in games later in the day or tournament, that's going to come back to hurt. But in this particular matchup, halflings are always fun, but that's what you bring them to a tournament to do, to have fun playing them. not necessarily win big games. So I'm going to go with the Elves. I think they just have the better tools to deal with that army.
All right. Let's keep on trucking. That's another unanimous one going Joey's way. Table 11, we have Mike Adkins versus Sean Moore. This is a nice matchup. So we got Mike's Abyssals, 2 troops of Gargoyles, a horde of lower Abyssals who've dropped their strength for crushing, 2 hordes of Tortured Souls, a regiment of Tortured Souls, a regiment of Horsemen with Caterpillar, troop of Hellhounds, a Harbinger with the loot, 2 Efreets just naked, a Archfiend flying with Lightning Bolt, and a Suit. So everything's got its place there. Up against Sean, who is rocking our second Trident Realm. We went a long time without seeing Trident Realms last year. Now we've got 2 in the first tournament. That's maybe a swing, and their buffs aren't even in yet. He's got some ensnares with the Brew of Strength. He's got 2 hordes of water elementals, 1 with haste, make them speed 8, and 1 with slashing. 2 regiments of Depth Horrors, a regiment of Tidal Swarm, Worm Riders with Fog, trying to get them a little stealthy, get them across the board. 3 Knuckers, a Envoy with the Loot, a Mythicon with Surge, Centurion with the Pipes of Terror, and the second Sirens. We 2 Trident Realms list. We got 2 Sirens and 6 Knuckers between them. I think it's Tim's turn to go first.
I like the Trident Realms list. I think it does. It's found itself in a nice sweet spot for Trident Realms with their high speed units. Knuckers are definitely something that can be a pain in the butt, and he's got a couple high speed units to support that. Did the Mythicant get Surge?
He had a buy
on my list.
It's on the next page down, maybe.
Oh, so there is some Surge for the water elementals. Can't count out Mike and his list. I mean, that's the list he plays at every tournament, I think, so he knows it backwards and forwards. So I don't think he's going to be surprised by anything and know what to do for most scenarios. But I'm probably going to call out another underdog story. I think I'm going to go with Trident Realms this round. I like the flow of it. I just made a pun.
Trident Realms getting some love. Mike, what do you think here?
Both these guys are my regional pals, but also real life pals. I love both these guys. They both have glorious beards.
Are they both Aristocats?
No, Sean's not an Aristocrat. I just ruined my own club name. Sean's not, but he's close enough. I have not seen Sean play his Trident Realms. I know Sean's a decent player. I know he's beat Joey a couple times. Joey's obviously one of our regional Masters players, so he's good. Last year, I think I called Sean our protege, and he blew it. This year, I'm not going to call him our protege, but I hope he wins because Mike doesn't need me on his side to win because Mike knows what he's doing. Mike has played this army, like you said, plenty of times. It's obviously a good list. He's obviously a good player. It's obviously a beautiful army. He's already got everything he needs to win. So, as for shits and giggles, I'm gonna go with Sean and hope Sean can do me one good here and win the game. Yeah.
All right. So, Keith, what do you think? Crystals.
I tend to think that the ensnare again will be a big issue just because there's a lot of hitting on fours across the table.
Yeah.
But I do know that Mike has played this army to good success. He does have 40 fireballs, so that will come in handy against Trident Realms. So I'm going to go with Mike.
All right. Let's get to table 12 and have to apologize. You may have noticed as you're going through, but Michelle Jones's list was in the wrong folder, so you didn't see that in there. At table 12, we have a new player, Michelle Jones. And again, she's new, at least to tournaments. She's from Georgia. She may be a long-term player.
Why'd you match her against Jeff?
I always try to match new players against Jeff because he's such an ambassador for the hobby.
That's how he wins events.
The computer did it. So here's what Jeff's rocking. I don't know if you saw it, and I may be giving fake news, but the Jeff O'Neill inspired Goblin list just won the UK Masters. So
I don't think it's necessarily inspired. I think there's an objection to whether or not it was inspired, but they're certainly very similar.
Very similar. Well, so we learned this can work outside the Southeast, perhaps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 regiments of Goblin Spitters, 3 hordes of Goblin Spitters, 3 trombones, 3 big rocks, a flagot with a hand grenade, 3 whizzes with lightning bolts, a mega blaster, a great lobber. So now you got 4 lobbers, and then 2 regiments of halfling archers. Let's toss in a howitzer for a 5th war machine, and a sorcerer with lightning bolt to make 4 lightning bolt casters, so 12 lightning bolts. So pew pew everywhere you can get it. And he's going to be playing elves. Archers, not with piercing. They've got the jar of 4 winds. Blades off the regiment of fire oil. 2 hordes of tall spears, with Mesa crushing with broom with Bruce Green. 2 naked Fun Rider hordes. A mage with Bane Chant, inspiring talisman. A prince with a rapier. I think he's just on foot. The green lady who's got some pussycats to toss around. And Tidarian Dragon Lord, the big heavy dragon. So, Keith, what you think? Got some elves. Elves against goblins.
Yeah, I mean, I think Michelle has the tools to get to Jeff and start chewing up some spitters. Of course, Jeff doesn't care because he has all of the spitters. Unfortunately, again, just like with JJ playing Sean, I think Michelle's going to have a good game. Going to learn a lot about the game. Jeff's a great guy to play against, as much as people might be frustrated with his army. It's not the same army. He doesn't have Alchemist Curse in this one, and I'm sure he's happy to discuss why. But I think Jeff will ultimately win this one. But I mean, I think it'll be a good first round for someone who's new to tournament scene.
Right. So I just realized that I gave the Joneses, one got Sean and one got Jeff. That's very kind of War School.
Yeah, the last 2 regional champions. Nice.
Oh, you gave a real couple, a Kings of War couple.
Mike, what do you think here? Bunch of archers or a bunch of goblins against a bunch of elves.
Well, I don't know where to see Michelle's list, but it doesn't really
It's
matter.
actually in table 13. It got into the wrong folder. If you want to pop up there,
Let's pop it. It doesn't matter that much.
Yeah.
I don't know Michelle, obviously, who she is or whatever. Is that Spyro? Is that Spyro?
Follow Tim's yard, yes. You pull a peek at that, I'll let Tim do his piece while you're.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I guess she was the last person to jump on the elf bandwagon, and they ran out of heart-seeking chant items. But other than that, I mean, you're playing Jeff. You'd be a fool not to pick Jeff, regardless of who he's playing against.
So you're picking
even some of the best players in the country. It'd be tough not to pick Jeff. So unfortunately, she's going to lose, but she'll have a fun game because, like Keith said, Jeff is actually a fun Sons of Vulcan player to play against. Followed by Ryan Johnson, and then the rest of them can go eat it.
Oh, man.
All right.
Starting early.
And making friends.
All right. So, as somebody who pissed off the Sons of Vulcan last year at Siege, actually, the Jar of 4 Winds is pretty good against Jeff. I will say that. It is really good against Jeff. I'm picking Jeff. I'm going to throw that out there right now. However, I'm going to say a few things in the meantime. Jeff is a good player, okay, but he's a better list builder. I don't want to call him one of the best players. He's one of the better list players. He's a fucking accountant. He's a good list builder. That's it. I mean, I'm obviously going to pick Jeff for my own self-interest, but I think that I like the list that she's bringing.
Come on, you don't want this to be the underdog for you? This is your underdog
No,
pick?
absolutely not. I've been the underdog against Jeff. It's fucking waste of my time. I'm not going to do it for anybody else either.
All right. So everybody thinks Jeff's got that, although Michelle has some tools in her list.
Michelle, whatever happens, don't worry about it. You're better than him. It's matters.
All right. Table 13. We've got Drew Gaddy and David Lundy. Let me explain how this happened because they're actually in clubs. Drew is the ringer. David, some personal issues. I wasn't sure he was actually coming, and he messaged me kind of the last minute and said, yeah, I'll be there. So I've just brought him in against the ringer. So that's how club mates. Drew said he's never actually played. I'm sorry, David said he's never actually played Drew at the tournament. Then he said, hey, wait, is he playing his regular list? And then I said yes, and then he cursed at me. So Gaddy,
I would take any chance I can get to curse at you too. So.
Well, there you go. So here's what Drew Gaddy, our ringer, has in store for folks. He's got an Iron Watch rifle, Horde with the Jar of 4 Winds. He's got 4 sharpshooter troops, so that gives him 20, 36 range, piercing 2 shots. He's got 3 regiments of Brock Riders, 1 Caterpillar. He's got 1 single Berserker Lord with the Blade of Beast Slayer. He's got Hernia's Hunter and 3 regiments of Hernia's Rangers. And then he's got the Hunting Party formation. And he's up against David's Dwarves, who look a little bit different. 2 regiments of Iron Guard, who have dropped their defense to get the crushing, but their defense goes to 5. 2 troops of Rangers, 2 hordes of Elementals, 3 regiments of Bark Gliders. He's souped his up a little bit more. He's got strength on 1, blessing the gods on 1, and sharpness on another. A standard bearer with loot, a berserker lord with the blade of beast slayer, a stone priest with martyr's prayer. That's always fun, and 2 mastiff hunting packs. So dwarf on dwarf violence. Tim, what do you think?
I think this game's going to come down to the table side roll.
Table side roll?
Drew's basic strategy: pile everything on one side of the board, let it come down to 50-50, and hopefully he wins it. And you got to walk into all that shooting.
So you're David's hoping for pillage and winning the table side.
Yep.
Okay. Any other way to win, or is that it?
No, I mean you can beat Drew as long as you know the rules, because he'll try to cheat the crap out of you.
I feel like
Jesus, Tim.
I feel like are not trying to analyze armies; they're just throwing shade everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the best part of it.
All right. Mike, what do you got?
You gave us a pedestal, and we were going to take it. And go ahead and step on the pedestal here and say that Drew Gaddy doesn't know how to play the game. So, with that, I'm going to go ahead and go with, I don't even know the other person's name, and I'm picking them.
David Lundy.
David Lundy.
I played Drew Gaddy last year, and he had I was playing him in Invade with an elf army that was shitty. Like, there was no reason I should have lost, or should have won the game. And he just doesn't know how to actually play the game, and he lost. And that was it. So I hope he watches this and realizes that he should have beat me, and he didn't. And with that, I hope he loses again, you know? Him and his little fucking Confederate dwarf racists go fuck themselves. And whoever else is playing him, I don't care what your list is. I hope you win and shit on him.
Can you bring order to this?
Yeah, I think Drew is going to win turns 1 through 3, and then it really comes down to how much damage David can do once he gets to him. He's got a lot of defense. You can mess with terrain, but I think Drew has can probably do a lot of damage with those shots early on. So I think Drew's got a good shot for it.
Yeah,
Why are you so serious, man? Jesus Christ.
My question
drinking for an hour.
What kind of TO lets their ringer bring that army list?
That's a solid question. Now, Drew's, I mean, usually if it's even, Drew's in the tournament. He's just the person that's going to drop if we end up with odd numbers. Fortunately, right now we don't, and they're going. They have a lot of the same strengths. I just think all that shooting is, as Keith says, hard for the dwarf player to get through, especially once it's all down. You got the 3 Brock Riders on the other
side. If
you
know what you're doing, you're going to beat Drew. Drew should have fucking annihilated me last year. And I played just to beat him, and I beat him. And if you know what you're doing, you beat him. I don't care if this person knows how to do it. I'm still going to vote for them.
That's right. So we got a split there between Drew and Dave. We'll see how that turns out. Let's go to table 14. Table 14 sees we've got the Crucible champion, Patrick Justice, against the son of Vulcan in Jason Britt. So let's rock and roll through this. Patrick has 2 Stormwind Cavalry regiments. We heard Keith talking about those in a second. We'll see how he feels about 2 of them. Matched up 2 hordes of Dracons. He's also got some chariots, a regiment and a horde of chariots. None of that with magic items, just up naked. Gets as much stuff as he can in. He's got a mage with Bane Chant and Fireball and the Shroud of the Saint. So extra heal on a horse, a king on a horse, 2 princes on a horse, a Dragon Lord with Brew of Haste, and he's got a Windhorn. Those are nice little unit. And he's up against Jason, who is rocking some forces of nature, 2 regiments of Grey Hunters, 3 regiments of Grey Striders. So he's got 2 of the shooty regiments and 3 of the fighty regiments. He's got 4 hordes of Talon Riders. So we've kind of seen this out of Brad McKay, having some success with that. One of them is elite. He's got 2 Centaur Chiefs with bows. So the bows hit on 4 and they're 4 shots each. So 8 shots hitting on 4 is not bad there. 2 Pegasi, just naked. And he's running Blaine. And I can't say I know anything about Blaine. But
Blaine's a badass.
Blaine's awesome. Blaine's great.
He's on a Raptor mount. And so that's what we've got. So 2 pretty interesting lists there. Talon Riders against elves. So we'll start with Keith.
So Patrick's been playing this somewhat different elf list to good effect. I think, as much as I said I don't like the Stormwind Cavalry, I think they work here for Patrick because they're kind of just the tip of the spear, and just use them as like a blade of armor for the rest of his army. So it's a lot of defense 5, a little bit of like moving shooting. The problem I think Patrick's going to run into is Jason's not going to present a single target for him. So I mean, Jason has so many shots. I played him last weekend. He's changed his list up a little bit. And then he doesn't have to fight you if he didn't want to. So, I mean, Patrick's really fast and can try to corner him. But I think Jason without more counter shooting, I think it's hard to pin Jason down, so I'm going to go with Jason.
A lot of individuals on Patrick's army, if that helps him at all. But
yeah, I mean, it does for sure, and that's sort of he relies on the individuals and the just spear, just shove it down people's throats. But again, I don't know if he can track Jason down.
All right, Mike, what do you think?
This is a unfortunate situation where it's a battle of the players. These both are very finesse armies. You got 2, 3, 4 hordes of Talon Riders versus 2 hordes of Dracons and chariots and like the whole elf thing. I don't know another player, which makes it very difficult for me to pick. I'm going to go ahead and say that the Forces of Nature player will win, just because if he knows how to play that army, he should win against the more static elf army. If he doesn't know how to play, he's going to lose. But if he knows what he's doing and can pick his targets properly, and the Centaur Chiefs are going to be the biggest factor in the game. They need to go do a lot of work. They need to disrupt the elf units. They need to cancel out the Thunderous. They need to just get in the way and let his other units do the work. I'm hoping he knows how to do it, so I'm going to pick Jason.
All right. Tim, what do you think?
Quick editorial clarification. I said earlier that all Sons of Vulcan players can eat it. I forgot about Jason. He does not eat it. He's okay. Put him up at the top.
He doesn't have to. Okay, good to know.
But I like Patrick's list, and I agree with Keith.
He just won Crucible with it.
He did. In the Stormwind Cavalry, this is the kind of list you want to use him in. You know, the more traditional elf lists, they don't fit as well as the Dracons or Dragons do. But in this list, I think they have a really good home. I think Patrick's going to have a tough matchup here. Like everyone said, Jason can just keep moving around and jumping around. If he can get him pinned somewhere, Patrick can just demolish it and take units off the table. But I think he's just going to have a hard time getting him pinned down.
Right. We'll see how that one turns out. Let's get on to table 15. We got another Mid-Atlantic cross matchup. We've got Ray's Ratkin, Ray Shields Ratkin versus Chris Fisher's Basilian. Let me start with Chris's list. Chris has 2 men-at-arms regiments. He's got one single Elohi horde. He's got 2 regiments of Paladin Knights, one of which has the caterpillar. He's got 2 regiments of chariots. He's got an abbess on a panther chariot. He's got another abbess with the blade of slashing on a panther, which makes her speed 10. He's got Nias, and he's got a priest with Bane Chant, a horse, and the Shroud of Saints. He's got an Elohi with Mace of Crushing, a war wizard, and he's got the Holy Lancer, prayer, which is very important. And he's up against Ray's rats. Ray's been running these rats everywhere. He has 2 hordes of tunnel slaves. He's got 4, count them, 4 hordes of shock troops. Ray knows what he likes, and he just brings those. 4 shock troop hordes, 1 with strength, 1 with pathfinder, 1 with fire old, and 1 naked. A regiment of lights, a regiment of vermintide, 3 weapon teams, just naked, an enforcer with the blood of slashing and a mount, 2 warlocks with Bane Chants, 1 inspires, a storm fire with the loot, and the flying spawn. I think Tim, you can go first on this one.
I'm gonna go with my my buddy on this one and go with Ray. I just like his Ratkin list. It's the kind of list I would like to run if I were playing Ratkin. A lot of shock troops, a few good chaff units. But the Basilia list is very solid. It's very fast. It's going to pick fights a lot better than the Ratkin. But I think once it comes down to the grind, the Ratkin are going to be able just to push through.
Okay, so you got the Ratkin grinding down the Basilians. What do you think, Mike?
Should have me either first or last. I don't like being the middleman here. These are both my. I love both these guys to the end of my heart. Ray's list is finally where it needs to be. He's finally figured out the fucking 4 hordes of shock troops with items. He's got the demon spawn. He's got all the little tools and stuff. His list is fantastic. Chris's list is great. Chris is one of the best players I probably know ever. However, he needs like 180 minutes on the clock to be able to do it. That's the challenge.
Yes, clock, yeah, that's what you're saying.
Yeah. So if Chris has a chance, if he just makes his decisions and moves on them, he'll do well. I don't know that he will. This one's a really tough matchup for me to decide because I like both these guys. I think they're both incredible players. They're both way better than I am, and they both have really, really well-designed lists. I think just because of time, I think that Ray will win. Ray just needs to be aggressive, and he will win. If Ray's aggressive, he'll win. So I'm going to go Ray.
And Keith?
Well, Chris has been playing Basilia before playing Basilia was cool, so he knows everything he's doing in it. I've been lurking a little bit on Ultimate Battle to watch some of these random matchups coming on. It was really interesting to watch Chris play Eric Trowbridge and all the rats. It's a little bit different list here. I think he switched out of Phoenix for Elohi. They're both super technical players. They measure all the angles. I mean, I agree that I think time is going to be a little tight for maybe both of them. Ray is really, really good. His list is really tight. It's really well put together. I'm going to go with Chris just so it's not unanimous because I don't think this is anything more than a coin flip. So
I have to interrupt for a second. Last year at Siege, I was on table 1 final round, and Keith was playing Ray, table 2 final round. You guys rolled for I don't know, it was first turn or first deployment or something like that. And Ray won, and he was like, "Go ahead, Keith." And you were like, "No, that's not how it works. You have to do it first." And Ray's like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And you gave me this look, and I was like, "Is this guy fucking serious?" He's my club mate. He was wearing the same shirt I'm wearing right now. And I was like, "Ray, that's not how it works." And Keith gave me this look that was so hilarious. And it was was one of my favorite moments ever. But
Well,
Ray
I mean-
still did wonderfully.
Ray has had an amazing learning curve, and I think Siege is one of his. I mean, he told me it was the first time he played elves, so I mean, he's advanced quite a bit.
He's a fucking brilliant dude, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, no, he deserves where he is for sure.
We've got table 15 as one to watch as being a really close game between two closely matched armies. We'll see how that one goes. And let's go to table 16. Table 16 is an interesting Mid-Atlantic matchup. We've got Tom Souther against Paul Lester.
You're just putting them all against each other, so they knock each other out.
Knock them all out. More score. I didn't even notice it being like this until I got in there. Yeah, they're definitely up against each other.
There's nothing fixed about this at all. We promise.
But here we go. We've got Tom's Abyssal Dwarf list. He's used it for a while now. He's had some success here and there. We got 3 troops of gargoyles, 2 regiments of half-breeds. That's new. I don't think he's been running that before. Dwarven Ale Regiment and a Stained Ale Regiment.
And stuff.
4 hordes of grotesque, 1 caterpillar and shark, 2 half-breed champs, and Suzu. So it knows what it wants to do, and it has the tools to do it. And he's got Paul Lester's elves. So let's go ahead and get that horde with the heart-seeking chant and a regiment with Kenai. So yeah, that's interesting. First one of those we've seen. 2 regiments of Palace Guards, a horde of Tall Spears with strength, 2 hordes of Drakon Riders, 1 with sharpness with Pathfinder, standard there with breath, Black Crown Mage, adding a little fireball action, 2 noble chariots for Green Lady, and he's got the regeneration formation. He's going up against all those grotesque. Tim, what do you think?
Looking at the list, again, it's hard not to pick elves in pretty much any matchup. And Paul's a great player. I'm glad to see him coming down. But the Abyssal Dwarf list is, again, another list I would find myself wanting to play. You know, the grotesque, the half-breeds, the gargoyles. It's got everything in it I could want. And it's fast, so it's going to get across the table. Might mitigate some of that shooting. But hey, a good play taken Tall Spears of Bruce strength. It's a good matchup for that.
Tall Spears too.
It's a tough one for me. So I think when in doubt, you always pick an elf.
All right, so you see it being kind of tightly matched. You're going with elves as the tiebreaker.
Yep. I think they just have a way of finding that little edge at the end of the game.
That's that little edge. Keith, what you think?
So I've never had the opportunity to make this formation work for the elves. I know some people make it work. Again, I just don't love the Green Lady. I agree with Tim that the Abyssal Dwarves are going to get across the table with a lot of what they have. The question becomes, how do you use the Dracons to sort of keep them back? This is the list I would not want to see. The Abyssal Dwarf list lined up across for me, just because it is so fast and it's a lot of regen and a lot of defense. So I think I'm going to go with the Abyssal Dwarves, not knowing either of the players.
You know Paul.
Yeah, I know Paul. Sorry.
Ready for me?
Yeah, Mike. It's even 1 for Tom.
I know, but
no.
What's that? Sorry, you're laying 2 back in your bed there.
I'm sorry. We've got 1 from Paul and 1 from Mike right now.
So I know both these guys very well. It's not Mike, it's Thomas.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Talking to Mike.
Yeah. So both army lists are actually really good. I actually really like Paul's regiment with Kenai. I think that's a really clever unit I've thought about a lot recently. I haven't actually run it yet, but I think it's good. He's got the Dragon Riders that are devastating. He's got his army is fantastic. I'll give him that. Tom's army is also fantastic. Everybody always is like, oh, it's so boring. Just be like, it depends on the scenario. Well, I think this game depends on the dice because this is a very, very 50-50 matchup. I think this could potentially ruin everything if Tom gets some really good regen rolls, then Paul loses. If Paul gets some really good rolls to hit, then he wins. It's too many factors here. I'm gonna go with Tom, just because. Why not? I like Tom. Tom's a good boy. I love him. Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. So that's it.
All right, so we think this one is well matched as well. We'll see how that one goes. And let's go to table 17. We've got Dan Kamak. I don't think that's his real name, against Chris Essick and his Mongols. So let me start with Dan. Dan is running Twilight Kin. Got kind of a balanced Twilight Kin list. He's running a regiment of crossbowmen with both Roof Kenai. We just talked about that. He's got a regiment of buccaneers with 4 winds, regiment of blade dancers, 2 regiments of knights, one with caterpillar and one with healing brew, 2 troops of the herald's glow, a dark side sword with nimble, 2 dragon breath, high priestess with bane chant, circlet of blood, and the horse, standard bearer with breath weapon on a horse, another standard bearer just on a horse, and then the Suzu to round that out. So lots of tools there. And he's going up against Essex Dwarf Mongols of Mantica. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 regiments of lancers. Those aren't skirmishers. Then he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 regiments of skirmish lancers. So 10 cavalry regiments, 5 skirmish and 5 don't. He's got Genghis Khan, and a nightmarish hero on a mount. His fleet of foot is a little faster. So a big kind of hero mount character. So Keith, what do you think about this?
I on some level appreciate the gimmickness of the Mongol list, but I think Dan has enough tools, enough shooting to make it hurt coming in, and then once you get close, those breath weapons are going to ruin your day. Your skirmish doesn't matter against breath weapons, and you're just going to evaporate when, what does he have, like 50, 60 breath attacks? That'll take out 2 or 3 units a turn once you get a couple wounds on him early from normal shooting. And then, so I don't know, Chris is really fast, so I don't know, there's not going to be a ton of range shooting before that, but Dan is a tight technical player, and I think he's done really well with this list, so I'm going to go with Dan. Sorry, Chris.
Okay. Tim?
I was too distracted because I just realized I've already won an award.
What's
Best
that?
herd player. I thought Dan would be bringing his herd, not Tomb King or Twilight or whatever.
You won the best. You won the best hard player at the tournament.
Already, yep. I got
your consolation prize. Just so you know, I might give you a tissue.
Just like Tim to bring it back to himself in the middle of.
Yeah,
right. That sounds right.
For the record, for anybody who doesn't know, Tim doesn't have internet at his house. That's why
I don't. I live out in the middle of nowhere. Never touch my cell phone.
I thought you were going to say yourself. But...
No, do that all the time.
And right now. Where's that right hand? I see it. I see that right hand down there.
Right. Yeah, it is. I feel like when people look at the Mongol list, what Chris has built is what people envision being like this grand list. And I know we're going to get some comparisons on how favorable we talked about Shannon's Mongol list, but I think his is just more balanced. You don't have a whole lot of unit strength here to work with, and a little bit of shooting can take out some of those units. The breath is going to be a big issue. And then once the Lancers get in there, once you waver them or once you disorder them, they're not punching you back very hard. So they really have to kind of alpha strike, and I just don't know if they have the numbers or volume to really do that effectively. Like the 2 units of Dark Knights, I feel are easily on par as an even matchup versus the 6 or the 5 regiments of Lancers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Especially on who gets the charge. The higher armor, better item picks, better spell backup.
Mongols are faster, though.
They are faster, but then, you've got more support from the rest of the army. So I just feel overall Dan's list has the advantage over Chris's.
Okay. And Mike, you get to round us out.
based on you guys who hate on Chris Essex. Yeah, I'm trying to make you all uncomfortable. Go ahead, Robert. Respond.
No.
I don't know. List-wise, I don't know either of these guys. The kin list is interesting. If somebody knows how to play that army, they will win a lot of games because there's a lot of utility in that army. And I don't know, this is a very tough one because both armies are very tactical. I'm going to go with the Twilight Kin player and pick Dan.
Okay. We got a unanimous pick against the Mongols. We'll see how that ends up working out.
Mongrels?
The Mongols. Let's go to table 18. We've got, now here's across the list, we've got Rufus Hambright versus Brian Tucker. So let's start with Rufus, player out of the Greensboro area of North Carolina.
I love Rufus.
So we've got, he's rocking some ogres, loves his ogre. He's got a legion of warriors, a blessing of the god. He's got 3 regiments of braves. He's got 2 regiments of chariots, a warlord on a mount with the Bear and the Griffin, a standard bearer with the lute, 2 warlocks. They've got the Drain Life and the R of Heroism going. One of them has a fire heart, so they can fire 2 spells a turn. Red Goblin Bigot on a flea bag, a giant, and Hell on Wheels formation with 2 Red Goblin Rabble regiments. And he's up against Tucker's M&M list, a regiment of warriors, skeletal undead, regiment of skeletal warriors, a horde of revenants with the rats, get life leech 2, 2 troops of wraiths, a mummy regiment with brew of courage, a werewolf horde, 2 hordes of whites, a revenant king on the worm that flies, and then the 2 M's, Morgoth and Mortibrus. So, Keith, what do you think about this interesting matchup? Ogres versus undead.
So I think ogres don't have a lot of good matchups, but I think undead is one of their good matchups because they like to hit really hard, and undead have to hit really hard back. I think the ogres outspeed the undead a little bit. Brian's a crafty player when he's not whining about something.
Which he always is.
Which he usually is.
Maybe his broken elbow at Masters.
Yeah. So Brian, I think, has the tools to, get through the wall of ogres for someone who doesn't know what they're doing, but it sounds like Rufus plays a little bit. So I'm going to go with Rufus. Sorry, Brian.
All right, go Rufus. What you think, Mike?
Brian Tucker, I love you. I love your beard. I love your bald head. I love all things about you. No, he's a good player. He makes a list for a reason. The UNC took word for a reason. Every little thing was for a reason, and it's great. Rufus is a great player. I've played against him with he was playing Salamanders once, and he was playing Ogres once, both of which are low-tier armies. He's a good guy. He's a really decent guy. Rufus is one of the best players I've ever played against. He got my vote for best opponent twice, and I've been twice. So he's a wonderful player, and I like him. But I'm sorry, Brian's just going to take advantage of the whole situation. He's going to win the game. That's it. It's that simple.
All right, so 2 for Rufus. Tim, what you think?
I just said Brian's going to win the game. What are you saying 2 for Rufus?
I thought you said Rufus was going to win the game. So
no, I said Brian. How do you mistake Brian for Rufus?
Because you're mumbling. Get the marbles out of your mouth.
All right.
I'm thinking, I like Brian's, always like Brian. Like his undead list. It's very beautiful. It looks nice. I expect him to go, 4-2 or 3-3. Don't know Rufus, unfortunately, so I can't say too much about the player.
Rufus is like a wonderful grandpa.
I think Keith was onto something. The undead are good at grinding, and the ogres just aren't something you want to try to get into a grind with because they just smash through you. But if Brian can complain just the right amount during the game, he might throw Rufus off his game and pull out a win. So I'm going to go with Brian because he's going to pull out the head games.
All right, so there you go. Let's see how that ends up going. Let's hit table 19. This is an interesting matchup, I think. We've got Nathan Clevenger, Sons of Vulcan, versus Larry Essick, a war cow. Larry has that's 3 Mongol lists. There's a lot of historical lists here. Let's start with Larry's Mongol list. And we've seen a very similar list before.
Just don't even bother reading it. Just do it.
That's Chris's list.
Literally same thing.
I think
it's the same list.
5 regiments of lancers, non-skirmish, 5 regiments of skirmish lancers, Genghis Khan, and a nightmarish hero on a horse. And he's got Nathan Clevenger's dwarves. So a regiment of ironclad, 2 regiments of iron guard, 2 hordes of elementals, one with gods, one with healing brew, berserker rider troop, berserker regiment with first strength, army standard review, and 3 berserker lords, various things, king, the queens, the stone priest, martyr's prayer, and 2 hunting packs. So, what do you think? You'll have a hard time catching those Mongols, but that martyr's prayer and that high defense might make it harder for the Mongols to do anything to the dwarves.
Yeah.
So.
Do the dwarves care? They'll just march out onto any objective they want, let you shoot them with your arrows, run around them, and just sit there the whole game.
Okay. So you're saying Nate's going to win on the objectives?
Yeah, I think his high defense, his ability to take wounds back off of his units. He can just push out there in a semicircle and take whatever objectives you're playing on.
All right, Keith, what you think?
I tend to agree. Nathan's not relying on any shooting, so the skirmish doesn't come into play a ton. Obviously, he's going to get shot at while he's out, but Nathan has 4 individuals that can just go cause serious problems. I don't think one of those units hitting an individual is going to kill it, and then the Brock Lords or the Berserker Brock Lords are paying the butt, and the King is defense 6. If he disorders you, you're just going to sit there with him all game. So I think Nathan has the tools to chase down the Essick list, and I think Nathan can win.
Okay. Mike, what you think?
So based on lists, I would have thought that Essick would win, but knowing Nate, I think Nate knows what to do with his list, and I think that he'll win based on that. He tore me apart at Stage last year. I won on a debatable interpretation by Robert Brandon, who came in. I don't know if you remember, but if it weren't for the interpretation that went my way, I probably would have lost. Despite
forget you, Chio. You don't know what you're doing.
Shut up, Tim. Get the fuck out of here. Nate's a fantastic player. I think Nate's gonna win because he can run anything decent and he'll win. So I'm gonna go with Clevenger on this one.
So talk to me about Mongols, because we've got 3 pretty good players playing Mongols, and you all have picked 9-0 against them. We just don't think Mongols are a thing?
No, they're historicals. Historicals are a whole nother fucking game system. That Mongols are the best of the historicals, but they're still it's like the best college team trying to play against the worst NFL team, right? And me and my brother is a avid gambler of football, and he's always debating would the best college team beat the worst NFL team? No, absolutely not. They're still gonna fucking lose. Mongols are great.
An NFL team made the NFL.
Yeah, and we're not saying Shannon's or either Essex Mongol list is going to lose every game. They're good at winning games.
No, because they're both great players, and they all realize the value of a good army. But they're playing from behind. You're basically playing with a handicap, right?
Yeah. and the opponents they drew round one.
Or it doesn't take much. You just gotta meet the status quo, and you're gonna win. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, fair enough. Let's hit the last table then. So we get Dean Cook, who was in the tournament last year. I think
Dane Cook? I didn't know Dane Cook was playing Warhammer nowadays.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. He's not a terrible comedian and also a terrible actor.
I had several people ask that if we have a celebrity in attendance. It's not. It's a different. Cook.
His opponent is not in the folder, by the way.
It's Tim.
It's this retard.
Yeah.
This guy right here.
All right, I'm picking Dane Cook either way.
So
hey, my list is an award-winning list.
What's that
You
mean?
won an award, a self-deprived award.
Best army, right here.
So here we go. This is Tim. You haven't seen it, so it's a huge surprise to you.
All right, I'm listening.
3 regiments of forest shamblers, so some vanguard. That's allied in from Forces of Nature. A druid with surge on a horse, allied in Forces of Nature. Then you got the herd. He's got the tribal warriors, a horde through a haste, which has got the vanguarding formation, so it's speed 7. That can get into your first turn. He's got 2 regiments of longhorns, 2 beast pack, 2 stampede, 1 that's nimble and 1 which has the chalice of wrath, a chieftain with the wings of honey maze, 2 shaman, 1 on a mount with boots of levitation and heal, and of course Bane chant, and the other on foot with heal and the fire amulet, of course with Bane chant, and the stalkers formation, which makes the longhorns and the tribal warriors vanguards.
Vanguard, of course.
6 vanguards, and he's up against Dean's orcs. So we've got the best herd army versus the best orc army.
The best orc army isn't saying much. I'm just going to do that.
Yeah.
Robert, don't get too comfortable in your bed there.
Oh, I'm falling back down.
Is your wife next to you? Is she asleep and you're about to cuddle with her when you say that?
Yeah. 3 orcs.
Take off your hat or your glasses. Or you just
Yes! We have drunk Mike.
Well, I'm here.
He waits to the end. 3 horde of axes, 2 regiments of gore riders, 1 with haste, 1 with staying stone, 3 crudgers on gore chariots, a god speaker with bane chant, a war drum, and 2 hordes of werewolves that have been allied in from the undead. We'll let Keith go first.
So normally Tim's Vanguard army just like wants to get up in something's face and cause problems, but this is not an army you want to get up in its face.
I didn't look at the list.
What's wrong with you? You're almost paying for the Vanguard. That's not like super useful. I do think your list is generally better. So even though you're giving up whatever the cost of formation, I still think you have a better makeup of the list. I don't know Dean. I don't know how experienced he is. But I'm not sold on orcs as an army, effective army, with very few exceptions. So I'm going to go with another army I'm not sold on its effectiveness. So herd. I'll go herd.
Damn you.
We're going to Tim next.
Oh, I'm up.
Yeah, we'll let Tim go next.
Am I wrong, but is me, Dean, and Jeff the only armies that took allies?
There were not many allies.
So I think that's pretty interesting. I'm just looking at that. Yeah, Keith's kind of right. This isn't exactly an army I want to jump out at with my Vanguard. But the Vanguard move doesn't always necessarily have to be a move straight forward and across the board. It can allow you to redeploy within your deployment zone if you need be. You can shuffle around. So it's not necessarily wasted. But overall, I think my army does have the punches it needs to take orc units off the table, and I do have the speed advantage on him. So I feel like it's going to come down to whatever the scenario is to see who gets the edge out. But I feel overall confident in voting for the best cheater in the Southeast, myself.
That's fair. All right, and we have Drunk Mike full in effect, so we'll let him close it down. Dean versus Tim, what do you think?
Have you and I ever played each other?
Yeah.
No.
No.
I wish to God that I can play you because I'm gonna stomp your fucking face in. I'm gonna vote for you because I like
Yeah,
you.
you are.
But here's the thing: at what was the Crossroads? I was rooting for you, but I
Yeah.
shouldn't have because the fact that you beat that little kid that I beat the round before meant that
I
we
got the
lost.
Jimmy
All
that you got.
Yeah, you know. I just want you to know that I'm better than you. That's all.
I think this sounds like a challenge for a future tournament.
It certainly
I
does.
will play Tim with an army I've never played before, and I will stomp him to the fucking ground. I don't give a shit.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so what tournament is this going to be? Mountaineer, maybe?
I don't know. I have a 4-week-old baby. I'm not going to be anywhere anytime soon. I can talk so much shit right now. It's hilarious.
My win-loss record versus Aristocats is better than you versus Laughing Corpse.
Versus what?
Club.
My point exactly. Laughing Corpse. You played against like one of us, you idiot.
Alex twice,
I love you.
Ray twice. Don't give me that crap.
Ray's barely an Aristocat. It's me and Alex basically are the only ones that matter. Okay, so back the fuck up.
I'm sure Atkins will have one like that.
Oh yeah, Atkins is yeah. Okay.
Atkins?
I
love him too.
Appropriate that we close this down with him throwing shade at his own club. To so we appreciate you going through the list. I'll post the folder so that
You didn't
everybody.
hear my full reaction. You asshole. All right, shut it down. You win. You win. All right.
So I'll post the folder so everyone can see the list. Close down. Were there any lists that you particularly liked? You want to give kudos?
No, none of them. They're all shit because I'm not playing there. You guys all suck. All I'm gonna say is that next tournament that Tim's at, I'm challenging him. I don't give a fuck.
Bring it.
I will grudge the fuck out of you, and I will stomp you to the ground because I love you.
All right, there we go.
I like it.
Keith, any lists you want to give shout outs to?
I really like Chris Fisher's list.
Shut up, Keith.
What? I do. He's got a really solid Basilia list. I will go tenor for it and display my love. I think.
How many times is he going to suck your dick for that?
That's a good question.
Hey, just so you know, it's probably going to take a while, just like everything he does. Those are my favorite jokes I've ever made.
I love how much you love your own joke.
That was a great joke, Keith, and you know it.
It was so good.
Tim, any list that you were in love with?
Yeah, there's that herd list that's pretty amazing. But
Jesus Christ. You're such a loser. You love yourself so much.
Himself some Tim. That is a fact. What else you got, Tim?
Oh my God.
I can safely pick the best League of Rordia list and the best Orc list, and that's all I'm going to stick
That's all you're going to do. All right. We'll see how this breaks down next Saturday. Friday night, there is a Siege game going on. That should be fun. There's also a Vanguard League that'll be running throughout the Southeast schedule that Patrick's running, so if you can get there early on Friday for one of those two things. Otherwise, we appreciate these three jokers getting on and basically
Don't call me a joker, you fucker.
talking about everybody, including me, and we will see you at the event. Mike, we'll see you like in 3 years.
Yeah. Fuck you, man. Oh God, I want to come crush all you fucking kids.
Get down here.
I love you all. I really do. I love you all.
Just start a GoFundMe for childcare for a weekend.
Oh, dude, I can afford it, but if you guys will pay for it, I'll still do it.
All
Just
right.
because.
Signing off. See you later.
Bye.